comes these times on these Thursday calls when you just can't hand pick such a wonderful and profound guest that is in alignment with everything that we speak of here. But you've heard me going on these tangents for years now, and sometimes just the universe delivers. You know, you put it out there and you ask a bold question. Hey, will you be our featured guest? And they say yes. Yes, and that is the case with our very special guest today, Miss Robyn Linn. To give you just some background, if you're seeking to enrich this financial, emotional, and spiritual journey that you're on called life, Robyn and I are going to talk about over the next 20 to 25 minutes. This is going to be a fast-paced, it's going to be an interactive and ongoing discussion. So if you do have a pen and paper, you're going to want to take some notes. But if you're ready to make more money, and to heal the world and heal yourself, I'm going to throw out there, you're going to be able to make a difference with more clarity in your core values, your interests, and your passions, learning how to express yourself boldly and authentically and even fearlessly, and yet receive a great windfall of financial abundance in the process. This conversation is absolutely going to be for you. Robyn is got her hands involved in a lot of different stuff online. It's all coherent and makes perfect sense, but when there just comes, we speak often on this call about productivity, right? Getting more done in the first 2 hours of your day than most people will do in 8, of course. And Robyn is certainly a practitioner of that, simply because with her courses and online programs and academies, it is kind of amazing at what she's been able to accomplish in such a short time. But she is the creator of VOICEasana, or VOICEasana, rather, VOICEasana, which a lot of us are yogi practitioners and whatnot in this particular community, and I think a name like VOICEasana certainly resonates with us. But she's going to help you cure the deathly fear of public speaking that 3 out of 4 of all of us have, including myself. Specifically, not only just with public speaking, but also video marketing. And if you're checking out Robyn Linn's videos online, you see that she is just an absolute wonderful creator in her videos. But she's also going to be teaching us simple exercises to help us feel more clear and confident and communicative in our sales and marketing. And obviously that just translates into making more money in less time with less effort and less frustration and hassle and friction. And she's going to be able to teach us to do that right away. She also co-creates with her clients marketing and brand innovation in her Academy of Coaching Cognition, and is the co-creator of the School of Online Business. It's with all of this kind of stuff going on, you say, okay, where do I find out more about this Robyn Linn? And I've, doing my research and discovery, I've found that the best place is to just search for her on Facebook. And you can search for her name there in the search bar. It's Robyn Linn. That's R-O-B-Y-N, R-O-B-Y-N. And the last name Linn is L-I-N-N, R-O-B-Y-N, L-I-N-N. And find her on Facebook. Like her page there. And there are some wonderful little videos that you can get your hands on. And I am absolutely sure with all of the coaching and offers that she's kind of got on with free videos and training, you will find one that resonates with you, whether it be her School of Online Business, the VOICEasana, et cetera, et cetera. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome our very special guest from Portland, Oregon this morning, Robyn Linn. How art thou this morning, my lovely lady?
Good morning, Jason. I am wonderful. Thank you for that introduction.
Well, with your type of stuff, not only does it resonate well with me, it's one of those introductions where we kind of speak synergistically, at least from my heart. I don't know that it comes out of my mouth that way. But from my heart, you
absolutely.
You definitely speak to me, and so it's an introduction that I could go on and on and on about. One of the first questions, Robyn, that I do like to ask all of our guests like yourself, simply because you've got so much going on, and with all of your products and offers, I think you're a master at a compassionate message and clarity when you speak directly to your prospective customers and your market, which leaves us a little bit wondering about who is this Robyn girl. So I always like to ask, who is Robyn? And tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind, and how you got your start. A lot of us are in this new growth phase of our business, that first year or two, where we're looking to plant our feet and get our message aligned with who we are and get clear on all that, and the building and the development and all this other type of stuff, and that's what we're going to be talking about. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't care.
The first thing that I'd like to share is something that I heard Gandhi speak to when he was interviewed by a reporter. When they were shooting in India, the film Gandhi, before he died, he was asked, Gandhi, share with the world, what's your message all about? Please, let us know. And he said, my life is my message. So for me, as soon as I resonated with his words, which I immediately felt internally, I knew that what I must do was just that, was not seek for something outside of myself to create, but to cultivate that within myself, to create the internal sense of who am I, what am I here to do, and how can I create the world that involves more healing and more compassion. And that has what has been driving me ever since I was little. I became a vegan when I was, my mom says, 17 months old. I refused to eat meats and all of these things. So I always cared about animals and people and the healing energy, and it was something that has always been within me. So it was a natural progression when I started to work with people with eating disorders and codependency issues and alcoholism and heroinism and CEO billionaires and then NFL players and professional athletes. All these types of people were coming to me because I had aligned my life with my message. I had aligned who I really am with what I be, with what I do, with how I make my money. And I always answered that. That was the piece that I never neglected. If there was a client or a job or even a book or an article that was not aligned with my internal message, with who I really wanted to show up in this world as, to create that healing energy as you beautifully spoke of, I immediately knew that it wasn't for me, and I did not place my energy toward that. And I knew, as Bruce Lee says, when you place your focus in something, that's where the energy goes, and that's why he was so powerful in every move that he made. Everything that he did was so powerful and potent. And in order to cultivate the energy toward productivity, as you said, in order to harness the highest potential of who you are and what you're here to share, because why not? Why are we really here if we're not here to share something with each other? And this is what I attest to. So my entire life has been a releasing of the seeking, and a lot of spiritual people out there are consistently seeking for something outside of themselves, looking to others. And Buddha is a really good example, and he always told his followers, do not follow me, do not follow me. The way is within you. And that is why Buddhism is something that we still attest to today and practice today for many people around the world in so many different countries, because it is not something that you can follow. It is not something that you can even mimic or copy. And if you are a copycat type of marketer or a person who is disregarding your own values, you will not be as highly valued. You will not be as highly sought after or prized. And that is, for me, what I, every moment, every day, every person that I connect with, and every video that I shoot, every webinar that I hold is always connected to aligning you with what you do, connecting me to my message.
I get the sense when you're talking about, that your life is your message, and working with folks from addiction to Wall Street, and quoting Bruce Lee and Buddha and Gandhi in the first couple of minutes there, I get the sense that those, quote unquote, those experts are right, if you will, and that there is one part marketing and one part business, and maybe three parts of a mindset and being able to hold space for these types of individuals compassionately from all these different backgrounds. So before we get into the mechanics, if you don't mind, just kind of elaborate on mindsets that people come from, whether they, because I firmly believe that I find it very intriguing that you mentioned addictions very early on in the conversation, and also, and Mary, then in the next word is people from Wall Street. Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell us about the mindsets that people might come to you with, but then what we have to evolve to in order to be an empathetic and also a conscious creator of this new online business economy?
So when we're looking at cultivating something beyond where we're at now, there is, of course, I call it your whole life equation. So whatever we create externally, I have that as an equal sign. It equals something because we create it, we produce it, it's something external that we give to the world, we offer, and that's our value. So when I backtrack it, I take the equation and I say, okay, in order for my life to be more productive, in order for my insecurities or my codependent behaviors or my bad habits or all of these elements that are kind of hanging out as my characteristics, in order to release these patterns, these mindset misbeliefs or disbeliefs of who I think I am, how do I release those? And that's what we look at in terms of the equation. So in order to have that equal sign be more value, more compassion, more humbling, and more influence perhaps as someone like yourself, how do I have more influence? How do I reach more people? How do I help more? And in order to do that, we have to look at the equation. And a lot of people I have found, thousands of people that I've worked with, are not willing to look at their own equations. They like to look at, oh, this works, I'm going to copy that. I'm just going to model their equation because their equation seems to be working fine for them. And it doesn't work because, of course, as you're saying, it has to come from within us. We must hold the space for ourselves to align to that. So a lot of the people that I've worked with, the billionaire CEOs who own hotel chains and just multi-billion-dollar operations, I also worked with a lot of people with cancer and addiction, and I also went through my own eating disorder of 11 years where I was battling every single day for 11 years of my life. Every single day I was moving from not eating to purging, from being empty to being full, and having this seesaw effect because of not being able to digest life or digest owning my own equation, so to speak. So what I realized when I started working with these types of people who were asking me, how do I shift my mindset to create what I want? How do I do that? What has to happen is to get a real solid look at what do I really want to create, and then from that equal sign, what can I do to arrive at a place within myself that just becomes a natural progression of creating, of being, of offering some kind of higher essence of myself, of value to the world. And in order to do that, as you said, the mindset must shift. So the plus, minus this, plus that, has to adapt to the new onset of what we want to create. So the mindset must be something that equals that which we want to produce. And in order to do that, in order to create a beautiful marketing funnel or a video that sells or a webinar that leads people into a higher end offer, in order to do all of these things, we must first get really clear with how to be original, how to be authentic, and to model success that works for us in our own equation. So the mindset that I have found is the same for people who are making billions and people who are suffering with heroin. And the reason is because it's all in the mind of choosing to believe that you are what you believe you are. And if we believe that we have the capability to get up and do something, the probability of actually doing that is, of course, going to be 100 times greater than not believing in it because we won't do it. And in order for my clients to align who they really are with what they want, all of them had to rediscover what their equation was all about. And that is the one thing that I found, no matter who the person was, you strip them down, of course, of everything. And as the saying goes, you don't die with your credit card. When you die, we all die the same way. So, when we strip everything down, we're really all the same, and we all have our own insecurities and our own beliefs of who we think we are. And in order to truly create and cultivate that awareness to be better, to be more authentic and to be more productive in our lives, we must come back to really owning our insecurities and really owning our misbeliefs and really owning the fact that we may neglect our self-care at times. And when we do that, regardless of who we are and how much money we make, we all can come back to the center place of finding out what it is that we really can do to make that equal sign something that's more fulfilling, maybe more abundant financially, and also more of the impact that I was speaking of creating more impact to be able to create that ripple effect that we all want.
I love the fact that you do it in such a formulaic way. In other words, a lot of experts or coaches, I believe, and I'm not one to judge or anything like that, but I believe that sometimes we'll teach a method that can be so esoteric or kind of woo or just kind of out there that it really doesn't help resolve the confusion, or this mentality of lack that we might have when we're just getting started or we feel stuck. In other words, it's one of your 7 core competencies that you have on a YouTube video that I watched. And I think it was action item number 2 was just asking powerful questions to yourself. And you ask these powerful questions so that it may help you present your value better. And I think that this is profound. I really do. I don't want to, minimize how awesome I think this one little thing is a lot of times we'll take the mindset and we'll go into like a meditative aspect, or we'll really seek for an intuitive guidance. We might even ask other people and get their best advice. But when it comes down to our particular circumstances, by simply just writing out these powerful questions for ourselves, then we get to answer them. And like when you said, we get to choose. That makes us a deliberate creator by choosing this formula for ourselves just by getting very clear on what these specific questions that we're asking our own self, what they are. Like, what do I want, and what am I willing to do and to be, have, etc. So I just kind of want to point that out for our listeners, but just this core competency of asking yourself powerful questions and helping you present your value. I've personally found this to be one of the greatest activities that you can ever present when it comes to, we all have ideas, we're all passionate about certain things, but we can sometimes get so emotionally attached to what we have that when it comes time to actually sell our products and services, we kind of get scared and we're held back because we're like, oh, they might eat me and I might die if people reject me and don't love me, But by asking ourselves powerful questions, it allows us to present ourselves and our value much, much better. Anyway, I could go on and on about that. I don't even know if it makes any sense.
That's a coaching skill, absolutely, and that's something that we teach in the Academy, where every student now that I work with, every person that I work with, we put them through the Coaching Academy, because in order to create a successful business and a successful whatever it is that you want to create, or nonprofit, there must be the element of being able to ask yourself powerful questions, and of course, the people that you work with, a lot of people who decide to be consultants or coaches or entrepreneurs, regardless, they must be able to ask themselves and others powerful questions, which leads to being a better listener, active listener, to being able to reframe perspective so that you're not coming from an objective place, but that you're holding the space, as you said, Jason. And in order to release the attachment, as you said, from the esoteric, that's the industry that I came from first was corporate. Then I moved into the healing industries and started teaching on spirituality, and I found that all those teachers that were around me and attracted to me were all coming from the place of being stuck in that woo-woo esoteric place,
right.
And they weren't able to relate to the outside world. In their own inner circle, the very small inner circle, it was like a nice bubble that they created for themselves. Mm-hmm. But I didn't like to live in a bubble, regardless of how pretty it was or how cozy it was. I really like to honor the fact that there's people out here who are suffering and they need my help. And I think going through my own disorderly behaviors growing up and realizing all of the codependent behaviors that I had picked up along the way, I realized that for me, it was a choice to release those, and it was through, as you're saying, powerful questions, which is a coaching skill that we teach in our school, that it is the make it or break it. The people who I work with who have coaching skills do become successful, do have better relationships, they make more money, they attract better people in their lives, they have more fun with who they are, and they get along better with their kids. They know how to handle difficult situations. They know how to make better decisions. They know how to spend their money more wisely, and they know how to make money more mindfully. So I believe that it all comes down to the core competencies, which are coaching skills. And Daniel Goleman, who is the Harvard professor and researcher, over 20 years of research, has been teaching upon which I highly recommend anything about Daniel Goleman, is emotional intelligence, which come down to coaching skills. So I even read yesterday where Yale University is requiring in all of their applications that everyone takes in their application exams that they go through and pass an emotional intelligence test. And it is because everyone now who are hiring in the jobs, especially at places like Harvard and Yale, they are requiring such a high level of emotional intelligence just because of what we're saying today.
I think it's a plague in our entire culture. I think the number one drug of choice for people in the Western world today is denial. And this path of denial leads to a life of delusion, And I was consuming a couple of Gary Vaynerchuk's videos over the weekend, and he talks about, the number one thing that he focuses on for young entrepreneurs, the first thing that you must do is become very self-aware. Self-aware of who you are, what your core competencies are, what your weaknesses are, so that you can outsource those or delegate or et cetera. I think that this is just such a fundamental practice of becoming self-aware through asking yourself powerful questions. Again, you're going to be able to present your value. But the other thing, that it's going to change your perspective and allow you to reframe the conversation of what's going on in your own mind to be more compassionate to the conversation and the feelings and the emotions of what's going on in your prospective customer's mind. And one of the things, I don't want to get off on a tangent here and take away from your time, but I just want people to understand that this was the life journey of Buddha himself. Buddha's sitting under the Bodhi tree on a little mat, if you will, and he sat there for about 35 years, and everything was great and wonderful as long as he kept his eyes shut. But it wasn't until he opened his eyes and started moving and doing stuff and taking action and spreading this type of stuff that he really made a lasting impact. I was having a conversation with a supposedly successful coach late last night, and everybody's different, but I couldn't help but feel that she was nichifying herself and kind of pigeonholing her voice to such a degree that the impact that she was going to make, like you said, if we get too narrow, it's only like our little tribe or our inner circle from that space of that being. But sometimes you just have to reach out to the masses in order to leave a greater legacy. And she was like, "Oh, well, you're just taking your stuff too mainstream for me. My people wouldn't get it." But like you said, if you strip us all down, we die just the same. We're born just the same. And at a general level, our emotions throughout and our experiences of life are all kind of the same. Anyway, what I want to kind of segue into is what you talk about in your new VOICEasana program. I think it's a terrific name. And if people want evidence of good marketing and branding, and wrapping up exactly where you come from and what this product and course will do for me, I think VOICEasana is a wonderful name. And by the way, we're talking with Robyn Linn. You can go search for her on Facebook and connect and get more information about what we're getting ready to talk about here with and more information on the marketing and the branding. But VOICEasana, Facebook is Robyn, ROBYN, Linn, LINN. VOICEasana, 3 out of 4 people have this deathly fear of public speaking. I mean, I think that any time that I even produce a video, I think that if I put this up on YouTube, that people are going to jump through my computer screen and eat me. And I think this is so daggone important in our new economy of the internet in 2015 and beyond. And not only is just overcoming the fear, but what you're going to say with clarity, so that you're not beating your head up against the wall at 2 o'clock in the morning asking yourself, why are not people buying my stuff? And I'm losing money and time here. What's going on with this? How can we present ourselves with more clarity, confidence, purpose, and conviction, and in a communicative way that relates for other people to kind of take action on our offers, and what are some of the fears and phobias that are going through our head?
Breathe.
Breathe.
we must vibrate and resonate and attune ourselves to what it is that we want to create. And I think of a lot of times of a tuning fork and attune, A-T-T-U-N-E. We must attune ourselves to our message, just like I mentioned before with Gandhi, my life is my message. Well, what do you want your life to be all about? What does that represent to you? So there's 3 things that I want to leave you with today, which relate to a few of the things you were mentioning of the confidence and the conviction with your message and your offers and everything that represents what you're here to leave behind, your legacy, your contribution, and of course just the fulfillment within you so that you can be happy and fulfilled with yourself. The 3 things are to be original, be authentic, and be you in business. That's number 1. If you're not original, as I mentioned before, if you're a copycat, it's going to be really hard for you to create something that's meaningful, that's mindful, and to have the influence that reaches more than a handful of people. In order to be original, we have to remember to come back to who we really want to be in business. We have to be us. We have to be different. We have to be unique. Even if you have insecurities, that's what we have to let show. And that humility and vulnerability is what allows people to love you and like you and want to be around you. And that's what can show up in everything that you do, whether that's on a video, on a phone call, or even just in the comfort of your home. In order to create the next step, we must choose simple tools in order to allow ourselves to be original. We can't use copycat tools. There's a lot of tools out there like Kajabi and Lead Pages and Infusionsoft and all these tools that are great for a lot of marketers and professional entrepreneurs. But a lot of times what most people neglect is the fact that there are more simple tools, the tools that Mike Swingler and I have created within our schools, allow our students to create branding that is unique to them. Although there's a lot of great things that come with Kajabi and Infusionsoft and Lead Pages, there's a simpler way to get to the root of what we're here talking about today and allow the originality to come through. We must choose simple tools and allow that to be what has our message be coming from. The platform must come from that simplicity. And the third thing, as you mentioned with VOICEasana, is your message and your voice. And your voice is not just saying things. It's not just about what you say, but it's about how you speak. It's about the resonance of your voice. It's about you having, as you mentioned with Gary Vaynerchuk, having that internal awareness of what am I really here to say and what is the intention beneath my words. If I have a strong confidence and conviction within my own sense of self and what I'm offering with my value and my products and my services and my programs and my trainings, if beneath those words I have a strong conviction within this sense of my offer, then of course my audience is going to feel it and they're going to vibrate with it and they're going to be more apt to want it because they know that it's going to be good for them and they're going to be excited to want to listen to it. So everything around what I do and what I teach involves being original, authentic, being you in business, choosing a simpler way to express yourself with your marketing funnels, choosing simple tools, and allowing yourself to connect intimately to your voice so that your message is what's heard. And that's really what it comes down to.
You speak to me, my lady. You really do. In other words, choosing simple tools, it's what I've referred to in the past as called elegant solution, the simplest, easiest, most cost-effective, and fastest way that you can get your ideas, messages, and products and services to the market. The Internet today has made it easier than ever. The barrier of entry is low, and yet so many people still get overwhelmed with the complexity of the technical challenges and the learning curves. I think choosing simple tools is spot on. It speaks to me, and I think that it speaks to everyone who's tried this whole online thing on their own in the past. Obviously, I left out number 1, being original, authentic, and mindful of what you're saying. Don't be a copycat. But number 3, message and voice. And at the beginning, when you were answering this question, you said breathe. And I said, man, this chick's telling me to calm down. I think the point was it's not exactly what you say, it's how you say it. And I think that was spot on. we're obviously pushing up against the clock here, and our time is coming to a close. Before we let you go, I've mentioned you on Facebook simply because you've got a lot of product offers, and it's and they're all good. How do you suggest people? What is the best way that we find you and connect with you on the web and receive your newsletters and get more good stuff?
Right now, I would love for everyone here to go to Whole Life EDU, and whole being the whole U, so WHOLELIFEEDU.com. So wholelifeedu.com. That is one of the schools that I co-founded with Mike Klingler out of this beautiful life that I was able to step into and honor within myself from being a wonderful person of connection to, as I mentioned earlier, to the ahimsa, the nonviolence. It's something that Whole Life EDU represents of the holistic values. So it's not just, I want to make money, I want to make a difference, but it's doing so in a holistic way. So it's incorporating all the things that represent you from when you were a little girl or a little boy, all the things that you dreamed about up until today, all the things you want to create now. So the whole holistic picture involves the way that you want to make your money, the difference that you want to make, and of course the contribution and impact that you're here to make. So regardless of if you're spiritual inclined or not so much, the holistic picture involves putting it all together so that your life does not have a separation with your business, so that there is this consistency with how you're showing up in your life and your business. So wholelifeedu.com. And then for those of you I want to honor today, the first person that emails me, I will give you a free laser-focused coach consulting session. And my email is Robyn, ROBYN, @schoolofonlinebusiness.com. For those of you who hopefully you'll spell the name right, schoolofonlinebusiness.com. The first person who emails me will get a free coach consulting session.
Love it. So email Robyn, ROBYN, @schoolofonlinebusiness.com. You get a free consult and coaching session. wholelifeedu.com. I've consumed enough. I think this is a perfect offer, or the perfect way to connect with you when it comes to the audience that is listening to this call. We're at some type of phase in our business where we're either from the startup or six figures and sometimes over $1 million and beyond. But regardless, we all need that outside influence, if you will, from a personality and an expert that we can trust. And I think between you and your partner, Mike, it's absolutely outstanding, the work that you guys do, starting with just crafting your offer and your message and your brand and your copy, but also the emails, the follow-ups, the graphic design, and all that other good, fun stuff. I just think it's outstanding what you guys put together and do. I'm going to put you on the spot before we close, and simply because this is morning ignition, and we often talk about the best ways to wake up and be awesome. It's not always just business. I mean, obviously, we're all freedompreneurs looking to create a life of authentic self-expression and creativity that creates abundance in our lives so we can have, the ability to do what we want, where we want, when we want, with whom we want, as much as we want. And as the words of Tony Robbins, the first hour of your day is your hour of power, and it kind of dictates the way the rest of the day goes. How do you start your day? And what are some of the things that most people, whether it's common sense does not equal common practice, or common knowledge does not equal, what are some of the things that you might do that will help other people get better results in their life and business today, in the morning?
Thank you, Jason. I always ask myself, how do I want to show up today? It's really simple. How do I want to show up today? Do I want to show up today as someone who inspires people? Do I want to show up today as someone who calms people? Do I want to show up today as someone who gets people going, ready to go? Or do I want to show up as someone who maybe brings more patience to the work that I do? So I get to choose how I show up based on my deciding to do so. And it's just kind of like what you said in your credo. You have a credo to the show and to your life, Jason. And for me, and from what I've practiced, I have a moment-by-moment mantra. So I choose my mantra in the moment of what I want to bring to my world, to my people, to everything that I do. So whether it's a mantra that you call it or a credo, whatever it is that you want to say, you must decide how you show up from the moment to the moment. And that's how you start to stay present to what you're doing so that you can make more money and help more people, but also so that you can have that sense of balance within yourself so that your adrenals aren't spiked, that your cortisol doesn't go up, and that you stay really calm. And the highest leader, Daniel Goleman again, he mentions that the highest sense of a leader is the one that can stay calm under pressure and make the most risky decisions when it's needed. And in order to do that, we must stay present moment to moment. We must be able to choose that mantra within the moment. We must be able to decide how we are going to show up in this moment. And that's how I choose to start my day. Love
it. Being calm, non-reactive. Absolutely. You've been absolutely outstanding, and this conversation it was everything that I thought it would be. And I do hope that you've enjoyed it, and I hope that you'll come back soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure. And my good friends and my neighbors, just a word of the same thing I say every Thursday, simply because I get emails every single Friday. We do not host a call on Friday. It is the beginning of our home business work week, simply because we got started in this industry for a reason in the first place. So no call tomorrow, and I do look forward, however, to seeing you back here, same bat time, same bat channel on Monday for Robyn Linn, which you should go check out right now at wholelifeedu.com, wholelifeedu.com. Watch your video, connect with her by sending an email at robyn@schoolofonlinebusiness.com. Get a free consult and a consultation. And for now, my good friends and my neighbors, happy weekend. And this call, it is a wrap. Bye for now.